Feeding of the 5,000 is probably one of the most iconic things that Jesus ever does. It's the one miracle story that shows up in all four accounts of Jesus' life. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, they all want to tell us this story about the time that Jesus fed 5,000 people. And any of you who have ever planned a big Thanksgiving meal or planned a graduation party have ever really tried to get your head around the logistics of feeding even a couple dozen people have some sense of what it means to try to feed thousands. It's an impressive feat. But I want to take a moment and look at this story just a little bit more with you, because there's a different kind of hunger here than just a hunger for bread or fish that I think it's easy to miss. There's this little detail in the story that describes where all of this is taking place and when it's taking place. The way John tells us this story, Jesus is on the other side of the Sea of Galilee, and he's away from Jerusalem, where the temple is. This wouldn't be a big deal, except that it's the time of Passover. And Passover is one of those times in the church year, in the Jewish church year, when everyone would have been expected to go to the temple to celebrate and to remember that ancient story of liberation, about how God rescued the Hebrew people from slavery in Egypt, and how on the night of the 10th plague, the angel of death passed over, and the people were set free. But all these people that have come out to see Jesus, if they're with him where he is now, they by definition aren't at the temple. They're not there to hear an old story about something that God did in the past. They're looking for something new, something powerful and maybe even relevant for today. You can almost imagine the conversations that these people must have had amongst themselves as they followed Jesus. One of them could have told the story about that wedding in Cana, the one that almost ran out of wine and Jesus stepped in at the last moment. Another one says, oh, well, if you think that was amazing, he healed this high official's son and restored him to life. Or still another one says, I was over in Capernaum and we had a pool there that was said to have healing properties. There was a man who had laid by that pool for more than 30 years. And when Jesus saw that man, he had pity on him and he healed him right there. What more could they have been expecting from Jesus? How desperate would you be in order to follow him out into the middle of nowhere with no plan to provide for yourself or the people who are going with you? They want more than just the stories of the past. They want to know, is God among us now? Isn't that the question, friends? Is God still among us now? Can we trust that God is more than just a story from the past? That this faith that we share back and forth with each other is more than just trying to cling to the dying echoes of things that happened ages ago, but that it could matter today, that it could matter now. Those other signs that got people to follow Jesus out into the middle of this field and not to go into Jerusalem, those were powerful signs. But I want you to pay attention to the next one, to what happens here. They're listening for Jesus. They want to know what he has to say, and so he orders them to sit down in this area with lots of grass. And once they sit, a little boy steps forward and offers his meager lunch. The little boy probably had been shuffled about in this crowd for who knows how long. A little boy who wasn't even worth mentioning in Matthew's gospel or Mark's gospel or Luke's gospel. A kid who has no reason to have anyone pay attention to him except that he offered what little he had into the hands of Jesus. And it is those 5 loaves and 2 fish that set the rest of this sign in motion. Soon enough, all the people eat. They gather everything up, and there's baskets left over. 12 baskets of food left over from feeding all of those people. It's an incredible miracle. And it's a miracle that's made possible, that's set in motion because of the generosity that stirred in the heart of one boy. A boy whose name we don't even know. I wonder where he got the faith. I wonder what stirred in his heart to make him do that. Because I want some faith like that. I want a faith that says, I believe that God is still doing things in this world. I believe that God's not done with you or with me. I want a faith that says, watch this. And it all starts with nothing more than a boy offering into the hands of Jesus the little bit that he has, the little bit that he can do. Dear friends, you and I are inheritors of that tradition. You and I get to live this story out over and over again. You and I are citizens of the most powerful nation in the world. Imagine what God could do with us. Imagine what our little loaves and fish could do. Imagine what our small signs of love and affection could do. Imagine, dear friends. Imagine that God's not done with you or with me or with this hurting world, but that God is already on the move, turning what little we're able to offer into something amazing. Be well, dear friends. God loves you, and so do I.